Now, I don't know about you, but I've never much been into horse racing, and I'm not sure if it has to do with the fact that I don't have one of the giant hats or the outfits to go along with the usual race day extravaganza, or the fact that I know nothing about horses and what makes a good racehorse. This is why I'm all the more intrigued by our next altcoin project, DeRace. DeRace aims to do just that, bringing an NFT horse racing experience to the metaverse. This is an interesting prospect when you start to strip away the horse racing aspect. Now, there's going to be obvious enthusiasts that are enticed by the premise of this initially. But once you unwrap the first layers of this, you start to realize that the play to earn model that's involved here is much bigger than just betting on horses. And this is why it has grabbed my attention. Now, I've gone ahead and I've actually taken a little bit of a look into the project in preparation for this video. So I kind of know where I'm going with this, which is why I can say it's probably worth your time to stick it out and take a look through here, especially once we get towards the white paper at the end. That's where all the gems really are. But without further ado, let's go ahead, jump over to the charts, take a look where this is sitting, and then we'll start to look into the project and what it's got out there, what it has to offer, what it's doing, and take a look at that roadmap and see what it is that I'm really talking about that gives this potential to, who knows, be worth something you want to put an extra bag aside for. So let's jump over to the charts and take a look where we are today. Skirt, really quickly, before we jump over to that, I do want to ask you guys, if you do have questions about these or have other projects, I've been talking to people in the comments, leave your comments below. I love that. I love responding to them, and I love knowing about new projects coming up. I do have a list, so I'm working through a few of them that have been suggested to me, but I love hearing your thoughts on these projects, the input you have, what you see maybe I missed, perhaps other ways of looking at it, or even other things that are going on out there. You're the eyes and the ears of this whole project. So if you're catching anything on, say, a forum that I'm missing because I'm just looking at the face value stuff, then bring it to my attention. Let's talk about it. Let's see what it is. Let's let everyone know, and we can all win out of this. So I just wanted to bring that to your attention. And one more thing, I did something to my backdrop. Let me know if you like it or don't. I had to change it from the blasting white in my eyes when I'm doing these at night. So I did the dark theme. So hopefully you guys don't mind it. Let's go over to the screen. Here we are over at the charts looking at the usual coin market cap. And we're sitting at $1.86 today, which, you know, let's drop down here and we're looking at our 1 day. That doesn't look good. That's not what we want to see. But as we know, we're all sitting in the altcoins, all of them, everything Bitcoin is all down. Let's take a look at 1 year worth of patterns here. And we can actually see that it's lining up with what we expect from an altcoin, right? So I believe this is going to be in the November space, mid-November, end November there. That's exactly when the altcoins made their all-time highs on the follow of Bitcoin. I know I say this every time, but I need to remind anyone new to the channel or just new to the Bitcoin, to the crypto ecosystems, this is sort of like the nature of what would happen. This is following a line we like to see. And the fact that it's kind of doing what every other altcoin is doing right now, or especially stuff in the microcap space. And when we're talking microcaps, we're looking up here and we're talking about these, you know, sub 500 million. I mean, 250 million really, like sub that's microcap, right? So the fact that it's following a lot of these other projects is a really good sign and something perfect to sort of keep an eye on. We can see here the max supply is going to be 120 million and that the fully diluted supply, 222 million, isn't even close to our market cap right now. That's because of the vesting schedule associated with the tokenomics, which are pretty cool. I don't mind the tokenomics on this at all, and the fact that they're still quite a bit tied up and still has time to come out, I'm appreciative of. So that's an interesting fact. So when you look at this isn't something to be worried about. It's actually something to kind of be like, okay, cool, because it's locked up moving in. It's not locked up in a smart contract, and we're gonna dive into the Explorer in a minute here. But yeah, it's not something to be too worried about. But I would say that definitely if we're looking at it at $1.86, and so we're let's round it to $2 because it's gonna make my math a little bit easier. So let's actually go from where we kind of peaked at, and we're gonna round that to $8. So let's do 8 times 120 million, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, boom. So 960, so this puts this around about $1 billion as the all-time high market cap on this. Now, do I think that is appropriate for the concept? Let's go have a look. They provide a few metrics a little bit later on, but really what we're now comparing is, do we think this actually has, and I want you to keep an eye on this, do you think this actually has any merit to be comparable to the racehorsing space? Because what we're gonna be looking at later is some metrics that it purports in its white papers. I haven't done any verification on this, but it compares it to 2 ecosystems already. Racehorsing, or horse racing, I should say, and video games. Those two combined have giant real world market caps. Like video games is like 200 billion, and then horse racing, it's saying, I think it says later on, it's like close to 300 billion. I mean, we're talking about like $500 billion with combined market cap in those two sort of worlds. So just off first glance, talking about a horse racing video game in the metaverse with a play to earn model that people are probably going to gravitate towards, and the fact that they can make money off of it in multiple ways, sitting at $1 billion as the market cap as an all-time high doesn't seem that high to me, honestly. Being the only one in the space doing this sort of project. But again, we need to kind of keep an eye on the fact of, does it actually match that one whole other market, where is it going to bring over the enthusiasts from the horse racing ecosystem? So that's kind of just something we got to look at. But that's the price charts. Let's actually head on over to our website and take a look at what the project has to offer. So we're right off the bat, we're kind of given, this is a first glimpse into what it looks like. And I've actually watched one of these games. It's kind of cute, pretty rudimentary right now, but it's cute. It works. It kind of reminds me of a lot of the altcoin video games out here. A lot of the crypto games we've got, it's got, you know, just medium graphics, but again, it's really about the fundamentals. And I think there's a potential for them to continue growing the graphics and all that sort of stuff as time goes on. But really, that's not what this is about. It's really about making money, okay? It's about making money for people who want to bet. It's also about making money for people who are in the background. So the first ports that we're drawn to, the main portions behind this are going to be right now the horse ecosystem, the actually purchasing the NFTs themselves, the DERC, the actual token of it, and it is a token, not a coin, because it has utility in the space. You have to use their token to do all the purchasing. Just like Gala or any of the other sort of video game ecosystems, they want you to use that token. Therefore, it keeps sort of the world going, and they incentivize you to use it and hold it and stake it, etc. And then actually racing them. So you can race your NFTs, and we'll have a look at that. And that's a big part of the white paper later on, talking about actually how that goes down. And so I think that's going to be one of the interesting spaces, bringing the enthusiasts over, but we'll talk about that. So let's actually look over at the NFT horses, and it all just correlates to these tabs at the top up here. And this is what we're brought to. Obviously, kind of as you would expect, looks like any other marketplace that I've seen before. We've got pages. And so what you're given right off the bat is you're given the number of the horse. And I actually don't know how many horses were made. And that's something I should probably find out. Maybe it's in the Discord. We'll take a look if we get to that. But this main number here is well, you got two metrics that you're looking at when you see the horse right away, is that this symbol here tells you what the, and I think, yeah, okay, so it tells you the tier. And I couldn't remember the name of it, but the tier that it actually sits in. And I don't know what they are. They show them somewhere where the tiers are, but obviously Olympian being the top tier. And I think it's, we'll click on it and let's find out. Let's take a look at this guy. So he is an Omega tier, and that's what that symbol is. You start to realize that. And the other metric that was interesting is this one here. And it was and if we go back real quick, it's this little metric down the bottom. It gives you a quick stat on wins, first place, second place, third place, and then total races, I believe. I'll have a look in the white paper again once we get towards the back, but this actually shows you, oh, here we go. Yeah, first, second, third place, and total races. So it's a quick metric when you're going to purchase it on what it's already done, which is interesting because you saw a bunch there with zeros, but then there's a few that have done some stuff. So people have been racing them, which is cool. It's actually interesting to see. And again, it comes along with a lot of attributes that we've been seeing with NFTs. And I don't know if I mentioned this at the beginning, or maybe I was thinking about mentioning it. This project reminds me a lot of Axie Infinity because there's a whole breeding function involved with this. And seeing as we're talking about the horses, we might as well dive into this a little bit. There's an in-depth portion of where the main thing behind this that drives it is going to be the RNG, the sort of random generation of numbers that causes either winning or what you get as a result. This is the same thing that drives Axie, but it's also the breeding algorithm that actually causes it to get separate new horses. So you have to put two horses together. One has to be a male, one has to be a female, and then you have to bring them together, and then you get a different offspring. And that offspring has completely new attributes. And that's talked about again more at the back, but it's an in-depth process that's theoretically supposed to lead to a completely random version of just exactly that, getting, who knows what the offspring is going to be. And when you're betting on it, the way they kind of talk about it in some of the articles is that you kind of have to base off of the fact of what you're given. You can only guess off of potentially what it's been doing, what its parents were. You can actually check its lineage up here. If we click on it, we can see the parents of it and what they have done, and we can click on them and we can actually go look at their win rate. So people will start, and it's very similar. Now, what I am seeing is a little bit of a comparison that is similar to actual horse racing, because people check this stuff. I mean, I know there's all sorts of rub your ear twice and then that's the horse to pick, but there's definitely some out there who pick horses based on lineage, based on breeding, based on wins, what their parents did, who the owner is, how they're training them. So a lot of these factors they're trying to incorporate in an interesting way. And I think that was something that really rocketed Axie, right? Axie crushed it when it came to that and really made it an exciting, fun thing for people to get involved with, because it brought a little randomness to it. Didn't make it boring and stagnant by the generation of the new Axie that you got. And even here's a little bit, I believe somewhere in there, I found some part of the documentation where it did express a little snippet talking about the potential to rent them out with the same sort of eco part of like Axie does, where you can rent them to people to win horse races and you get your portion of it while they deal with the actual horse racing and fronting the money to be in them. So there's a whole play to earn portion of this ecosystem that has nothing to do with racehorsing. I'm telling you, we're going to dive into that a little bit more. So that's really the horse races, the horse section right now. These are the NFTs you can buy. You can buy more NFTs. There are going to be other portions to add to it, and that's part of the roadmap going into the future. But you're going to have other things like jockeys. You're going to have pieces that go on the horse, like the saddle, the shoes, maybe even a haircut. Who knows? I don't know what it is. Maybe injections for those steroids. No, I think that's one of the things they're trying to get out, is removing cheating, which is a big thing against normal horse racing. But they're going to have those sort of things that will add to the chances of winning on your horse, as well as you can even own the actual hippodrome. I think that's how you say it. That's what they're called. The actual field that they race on is called a hippodrome. You can own one of those. And I'll talk about the tokenomics of each owning one of those at the back again. But you can be the owner of the facility and have people race, and you earn a profit on the races. So this isn't the only NFT we're gonna get on it. It's a really interesting sort of spin on the NFT world. And I think if more people knew about NFTs being used in the ways they can be, other than just a picture of an ape, they might be interested in concepts like this. So this is already kind of like, okay, cool, there's some play here, and we're looking at a model that we've seen before, Axie, like I said. So keep that in the back of your mind. The ticket redeem tab at the top here, this is a little buggy, I'm not gonna lie. I kind of did it just to see where it would take me, and I don't have a ticket to redeem, so that might be the problem. You connect your MetaMask and then you log in, but then it keeps cycling through. But this is where you would go redeem your winning ticket, to my understanding. I couldn't actually do it to prove, but I'll show you a little bit about how you actually get them. You can see the metrics on who's winning. Here is the race tab, and this is where the meat and potatoes of it happen. So these are the pools of races that are available to you to get involved with. And you can actually, click on it. Then there's going to be a maximum amount of player or horses in the field. It's being raced on a certain field, hippodrome, green field. I don't think they've come out yet. So I think Greenfield is probably like a developer-owned hippodrome. Let's see. Hippodrome. Yeah, hippodrome is, I'm saying it right. And this is the prize pool. So this is what you'll win out of everything. All of it combined as the pool is the winning prizes. And you can see here first, second, and third. So I'm going through this for you so you can see that the layout of it, pretty straightforward, kind of simple. You would come in here, open for all. You would click on this. I think you click on this once you have your wallet connected. I think you can get involved. Oh, if you have a horse. So I don't have a horse. I don't have any of this jazz. But I think getting into it's pretty easy. And you can look who you're going against. You can look at the wins. Look at this guy. What do we got here? Wow, that one's really done a lot of races. Okay, so it's interesting, and then you see the thoroughbreds. So again, the metrics are there for the gamblers, like the actual enthusiasts, which I think is a win in that tick box. Are we gonna bring horse race enthusiasts? Tick, they're trying to meet all the needs. And this can develop. You could see how this could kind of tweak a little bit and just get a little more crazy. They're definitely going to do this. But the thing I wanted to see is show you, okay, tab over here on the left, results, and we can click on it. And we can replay. Before we replay, interesting. You see that little purple symbol right there to the left? What is that? What are we looking at? Polygon network. So the races are actually run through Polygon, and the transactions show up on the Polygon network, and that's how you receive it. So your redemption, I think, does some sort of bridge from Polygon to your Ethereum, because in the redeeming, the middle one was Ethereum. So, but it's interesting because that's the only way that you can actually make this make sense. Look at it, you saw all those races. Look at all these races. You can't have this many races going if the transaction fees are high. Nobody's going to involve. Not to mention, right now we saw DeRace is worth $1. It's $1.84, and we've got the prize pool, and this is 11.4, DeRace coin, DERC. Let's call it DERC. Even though it sounds silly as hell, let's call it DERC. That's not very much, double that. It's like, your winning pool is going to be like 12 bucks, 10 bucks. I don't know what let's round it to $2. That's not a lot of money, but you didn't leave your house. You didn't do much for it, $2, but you don't want all that eaten by fees. So that was an interesting thing, but that also gives me that sign of being bullish on Polygon. So that's a side note win out of this altcoin video, right? So keep that in the back of your mind. If you were thinking about some layer ones and thinking about some of those bigger coins, Polygon maybe should be on your list of things to keep an eye on. But let's actually take a look at this. I don't want to make this too long. I've already been chatting for a minute here, guys, but I figured it's just something I should show you because once we get to the back end, you'll see why I'm interested, because it's like, oh, this is cute and fun. But once you realize that it works, it's doing stuff. So it's playing, I'm gonna turn the music down on this so it doesn't play through this. It's got some music. It's racing, they're racing. You can click on the horse you wanna follow, and then it like follows him. Let me try and get number 11 here, and at the one at the back. See, look, now I'm watching him. It shows you what's going on down the bottom. I mean, we're watching a digital horse race. And once I saw this, I got kind of excited in a weird way, because at first I was kind of like, what am I doing here? What's going on? And then I saw this and I was like, this is legitimately, if this grew over time, these horses would be totally AI driven, right? This is gonna, let's incorporate it into what the world's gonna end up being. These will be AI, the graphics on this would be great. And these horses will start having a personality, and then the game might even evolve to like the stable section of it, where you can actually go inside of your world. And if these NFTs ever got shared with Sandbox, Decentraland, other metaverse worlds, network, where you can actually go and visit your horse, or you could sit in the stands and watch it. Like if there was a connection to it, that would be absolutely insane, because then you've really brought the full utility and the experience, which I think is going to be one of the hard parts for enthusiasts. Do you want to watch a horse race on your computer screen? Not so much. Not as fun as the big hats and the fancy outfits, but what I will say is that if you want to gamble, it works just fine. So that was our first little horse race. You can see who the winner was, so you can look at all your metrics. You can kind of do, again, like your stats, looking at the back, the winners, keeping track of them, if you can start to see who's winning, who's not. Very interesting, very interesting. Oh, so there are a couple hippodromes too. So, and you look, we've got thousands that have played. I'm looking down the bottom here, and I'm gonna zoom in for you guys. Sorry, I didn't realize that was so far out for you. So, yeah, but were you able to see all this stuff? I hope you were able to see this, because I'm not gonna go back through that right now. Yeah, very interesting little stuff to me. So the next tab that we're brought over is, so we're kind of working our way across, is that it's just kind of the spiel about the ecosystem using their token, why they want to keep their token going, because it's like, sometimes you're always like, another coin to the token I got to hold or use to get in this ecosystem. Again, once they make it easy to get in, get out, it's not going to be such a big problem, but they promote immediately off the bat liquidity pools, so they want you to hold them, and they want you to go throw them onto some dexes, which is where some liquidity is for them. And it looks like actually here in order, and I didn't really see this talked about anywhere else, but they do mention Liquid Love NFT, which sounds a lot like the potion from Axie, and I haven't reviewed that project. I really haven't gone in depth. I've seen reviews on it. In this channel, we're all about like projects no one's talking about, so let's get a like and a thumbs up and a subscribe if you appreciate crypto moonshots from the bottom, like micro caps. If we're talking about shit nobody else is talking about, give me that love if you think this has got value, because everyone else is talking about Cardano and Ethereum and Binance. Who gives a shit about those? We know about that. That's big game stuff. Let's talk about those little sliver of the dark web nobody wants to talk about that's gonna give us 100 gains, all right? This, let's call it our DERC coin. You can stake it here, and then you get that love potion. So obviously you need to bring some to the ecosystem. So you need to purchase some, get in the world, buy your first NFT. You need to buy a male and a female horse, and then you can breed them. I'm not sure if you can breed with someone else's horse and then share profits in the child. I don't know how that's gonna work. And that might be something to actually one day throw a little money at this and play with it. I would love to do that. Again, give me a comment if you want me to do that. If you would like to see me actually go through it and see what happens when we spend some money and try to win a game. I don't know, buy an NFT horse. Don't know if I want one, but if enough of you guys want me to get one, then I'll think about it. I'll see what happens. Here's our first little glance at tokenomics, and we're gonna click on that full tokenomics down there underneath in red. But just a quick overview of where it looks. Now, this might be enough for you to make your decision right there. There definitely was a decent private run where they sold the coins, so you got to keep that in there. The liquidity and the public run there is all space that I like to see. That means that that's out with a bunch of people, that's in the real world. And then we've got our team, and really the intentional development here takes another nice big chunk of it. But this isn't, I mean, at first glance, it's kind of like, oh, okay, there's a little bit out there. Obviously the team's got some, and then there's some private holders. You're like, oh shit. We're gonna take a look at Etherscan and see what kind of what kind of wallets we got holding stuff. But let's actually look at the full white paper or the full tokenomics, and they give us this handy little PDF, which is so cute. I love this. They got the whole page, and then boom. Let me punch out a little bit. Pause on this if you want to take a look at this a little bit more in depth. But the interesting part that I kind of like about this is the vesting on after the token generation event. Here, they are long, right? So they're spread out, and you can actually see things like when you look at the development team, they don't get any at the beginning, right? So again, I'm probably sure there's somewhere in here where they get a little piece because they got to justify working, but like the team has a 1-year lock on all of theirs that they get, and then after the 1 year, they get 5% every month until it's all out. Same sort of thing with the development here. It's like at it, the first 4 chunks are going to be 5% in those increments of months, and then 10% and 15%, so it ramps up to give them a little bit more money to run this sort of thing. At the beginning, marketing, they need a little bit of a budget, and they obviously need a budget to run, and that's really where they got it from, was the private and the public sale right there. Liquidity being the DEXs where they ended up putting it, so right off the bat, they threw 25%, then they're gonna let a little bit more go back out. And that's what I was talking about with our fully diluted and market cap. I'm not worried about this number being nice and high compared to where we're at right now, because it's based on it being just slowly fed back out on a schedule that's, you know, makes sense. They want to keep the longevity there. They want to keep people incentivized as far as the developers. Now, the only concern I had in there was 28% held by public or private, you know, private sales. And so you go, ah, shit, what does that mean? Do we have like one giant guy who's got like all 28%? Like that's a big hold of one wallet, right? That's a lot for one wallet to hold. And if we actually take a look over at Etherscan, let me punch in for you guys a little bit here. Take a look at our holders. We have a nice, pleasant surprise that really the only wallet that we really see that's large that doesn't have any kind of like nice name to it. So this is a swap. This is a DEX or a CEX. You know, Uniswap is the deployer. It's got 64%. That's where the rest of the money is. That's where that other, so it's at 22 million, there's 80 million. So that's where the other 140 million are. And we can actually click on it and see. We can actually click on it. Oh yeah, it says the value right there. 140 million is currently locked up in this. Total value in this is about 143 million. And then we look that it's been coming out in regular increments, right? So it's actually been coming out. So there's 2 at 45 days, 2 at 69 days, dispersed token. It's actually an app, like it tells you that it's given it an app name. And then these are probably those actual portions coming out, those 5% after a year, this, et cetera. You know what I mean? Like the thing to the developers, marketing. That's what we want to see. That it's actually following some legitimate like vesting schedule, and the tokenomics have it stretched out. It's not like boom, here you guys go. Here's a bunch of money to some main first off investors that could do the rug pull, or whenever they're feeling like it, just pull some money out. So I'm pretty happy about this. Honestly, I think that those tokenomics are not bad at all. And again, looking at the holders of the coins where we currently are, there's not one person who holds too many, or a few people who hold too many coins, in my opinion. So let me know what you think about that. If you think that this is off, or you think I'm missing something here, but I think that's not a bad one to begin with. And so I think when you got involved early on, they were offering some incentives to do that sort of stuff. But basically, if you're holding on to it and staking it, I think you can also get some airdrops, which they all say, get airdrops. They're usually crap. I mean, there's only a few projects out there that give you great airdrops and whatnot. But yeah, so that's kind of the tokenomics of the coin, why you got to have it in their ecosystem. They actually want to, keep that going. That's the fundamentals of this whole space. So this is a quick overview of the whole thing. The main thing being the NFT horses, obviously actually racing them and breeding them. So that's kind of the main portion of the NFT space, which is, like I said, the Axie sort of copy. NFT hippodromes, this is where you can own the real estate that they play on. So that field we just watched, where we watched a race, and they were racing on that, someone owns that. And again, that's probably the development team, I want to say, because I don't think these have come out yet. You can't purchase these, to my understanding. I'd have to look where we are on the roadmap. But yeah, someone owns that and gets a percentage of that race playing, and then the next one, and then the next one. And there's an interesting incentive they have in there. Let's look at that a little bit later. But like you can market on your hippodrome too, which is super awesome. You can, and then the marketplace, you can NFT horses can be bought and sold in the DeRace marketplace or any other. Yeah, so I mean, whatever. That's the same thing. It's an NFT. So the team, let's talk about the team. This is our portion. Boom, you can skip ahead if you're skipping here. We're talking about the team. I'm gonna look at this. I can't get to the LinkedIn, so my LinkedIn doesn't come through. Oh yes, I can. Okay, I don't know why it wasn't working before. So the only thing I kind of found from the white paper too was that they talk about the founders. So Media Bubble, this is really they started a company before. So previously they're in marketing. So I believe this Media Bubbles is a marketing company. The main point is that most of this team, so I believe a couple of these main people at the top are actually from it, and it was a marketing company. So what I will say to that is that it doesn't have the backing of, say, like Gala Games, that has a company that's run a mobile game industry, but it does have a marketing team in place running the company. So as we know, especially in the altcoin world, especially in some of these smaller stuff, marketing's everything. It's really the biggest part of it. And once you start hearing about it, then it can get traction and it can maintain it. And they actually talk about that in the white paper, is having a user base that continually grows, and that they want to put incentives out there, and they really want to focus on that in the scaling section. That's one of the last points talking about the future, is that we want to be able to scale. We want to hit these other sort of ecosystems where people live and bring them on board. And so you can see there's a large portion of them so the community managers, right? Look how many community managers we've got sitting right here, which is awesome. And actually, looky who we got here, Mr. Alex Becker, a YouTube influencer. Actually, I think he's probably where I heard DeRace from, and I've watched a few of his stuff just because I think he's interesting as hell. He does watch a lot of video games, but he's right there as an NFT gaming advisor. I love it, and they even let him pick that sort of icon too. So here, let's look at the roadmap. So this roadmap isn't the long-term one. That's one in the white paper when they originally started the company. But this roadmap is actually for this year, I believe. It doesn't give me exciting features next year. So it was made 2021 because it was starting back then. So this is where we're at now. Being in February, let's see if we're kind of on track and look at what we've got so far. NFT introduction, airdrops. So we've got races and NFT prizes. So clearly we're seeing, well, we haven't seen NFT prizes, but we've seen races. Breeding function, don't know. It looked like there had been some bred because they had a lineage. Don't know if that's just part of the metrics of generating those NFTs. They could have already been done like that. Rental for breeding. So this is where I saw that, and I mentioned before that you may be able to rent these out. So if you hold one, there's a place to make money owning an NFT and renting it to people. And we saw that do huge for Axie Infinity, right? That absolutely was massive for Axie Infinity because it allowed a lot of people who were playing the game in a smaller, in a nation that, probably could live off of a little bit less money, renting their Axie out to kids who would play the game and make a killing at it. It would be like, they called it a scholarship program where the kids could get an Axie because they couldn't afford a decent one to really play the game, and it would be a win-win for everyone. I have extra Axie, I'll give it to you, give me some extra, give me a cut of the money, and you play the game. So I like that. I feel like there's another win for having an NFT horse. So again, comment below if you want me to have NFT horse, if you want me to get one. I'm getting a little more on board with every reason that I can make money off of it, right? That's a big thing for me. I don't really want to race horses, but I do want to make money off of it for not doing anything. Passive income is the name of the game. Public turf, synthetic races. So I think it's things like changing the field. Like those are going to be what help differentiate hippodromes, whether or not there's going to be better winnings, like the horses will race faster, rename change. Okay, cool. So we're in February. We're looking at a few things here. Mini games, mystery NFT drops, listing expansion. Okay, so we're actually getting hippodromes. So this month we're supposed to get hippodromes. We're in the middle of the month. Let's see, is that coming out? What else we got? Matchmaking services. Let's see. I'm gonna read through this real quick and I'll bring them to your attention. Okay, this whole section down here, I guess I'll just bring this sort of portion up to you. This is an interesting thing because this is where you start to get into like championships, right? Because this is kind of talking about high stakes for top tier horses, exclusive racing. So this is where those championships are going to start coming into play. And there's an interesting part that needs to be thought about when it comes to championships. A big thing that drives them is sponsorship and advertising. And that is a huge portion of this around the hippodromes. We'll talk about that a little bit more in a minute. But you can, this would be interesting to see this actually take out, just go in that direction. And if we look in the next one in sort of March and June, we're looking to get those jockeys. This is where I was saying I saw that there's going to be horse shoes and introduction for horse saddles and things like that. Oh, boosting assets, performance boosting, wearable items for your horses. So, I mean, really, we've got an ecosystem that they're really trying to expand on. We know we're in January. We know we're sort of looking at February. They're moving forward. Here's a really big point. Mobile devices, guys. Yo, this is straight the big stuff right here. If this goes mobile, we're talking like, not forget Gala Games, because that thing is gonna probably moon no matter what, or just like a nice steady trajectory. But Zygnah, the guys who make Gala Games, Zygnah Games, which is the mobile, they got involved with the iOS devices and the iOS Play Store, or the Play Store from Google iOS Store, early on, 2007, 2008. They're a multi-billion-dollar company just off mobile games alone. This is mobile games and betting and horse racing in three. You got three in one thing. That's why I'm kind of getting, you see how I'm getting more piped about this? It's getting exciting. This is where you start to go, oh shit, there's like some legs to this. Anyone who wants to now do horse racing, there's gonna be people who like to gamble on it but like can't go down to the races to make a bet. You know, you're going to be able to do that. They actually even talk about external API horse racing for streaming platforms. So moving straight onto it, and this is in the white paper, it looks like they're trying to bring this through this year. It actually is talking about being able to access casinos, where you go into those rooms and they have the screens and you can make the bets there because you can't make it to the actual horse race itself. It's going to be streaming this to the bookies. This is going to be streaming this to your places where you can place bets. And you're going to be able to get them integrated into very large consumer places where a lot of people, a lot of eyeballs are, not just your device. So this could potentially be everywhere. From a gambling standpoint, from a video game standpoint, it could be worldwide, right? This can be, if they do it right. I'm not saying that that's what they're going to do, but it looks like it's going to be ad service integration. So I'm really skipping again. So this is what the white paper brings to it. We'll go into that in a little bit, but these are really the main things I wanted to talk about. So they look like they're going to have lotteries. They're going to have ads integration. So the integration into that will be into the hippodrome, and it will be, you have to own the property, and you can even earn from watching ads in some capacity. And I think that might be like similar to the listen to earn model that'll probably be developed on Gala Music. But all of what I'm seeing here, pause, read it through yourself, is big. This is big and interesting when it comes to the standpoint of this company, as far as what they're building and what they're trying to do. I think this is interesting. You should take a look at this and then really absorb it and see if you think there's any value here. And again, I go back to, I don't know shit about horse racing, but this all looks pretty good. This looks very interesting for sure. So let's actually take a look. Oh, we've got partners. We see some big names here. CMS, we got Chainlink, we got Binance, we got some really big names in here. I don't know a lot of the other ones. Now you guys let me know if there's anyone in here I should be looking at, but they do have some partners integrated into this. So I'm gonna go get the white paper and we're gonna take a look at that, and I'll just do a few more talks about it and then we'll wrap up. Okay, so I really like the white paper. I think it's organized very nicely. So these little things are tip-offs that the teams kind of knows what they're doing. They put it into a very nice, succinct little summary. It's kind of broken down, platform, market overview, introduction. So we're going to skip through this. It goes through some, what is an NFT, that sort of stuff. The general summary of this is that they got some problems and solutions. Hey, this is what we think we can fix and bring to this whole thing. Freeze, look at this and take a look at anything you want to look at specifically. I think one of the ones that they're trying to get rid of that they mentioned many times is dull, predictable gameplay is sort of something that they're worried about when it comes to a video game standpoint. And they're talking about actually the fact that there has been some form of trying to digitize the horse racing industry, but it hasn't been done very well. And they think that this is what's going to bring it, is because it's going to really make it It's going to make it fraud-free. It's going to make it like drug-free. It's going to make it a space where everyone can feel safe about getting involved, and that you're not kind of like being, because that's one of the stigmas behind it, right? Is that there's a lot of sort of cheating going on behind the scenes and a lot of just doping, and it's a weird space that I think a lot of people get scared about. So they're looking to fix that sort of stuff. Obviously, slow, expensive transactions, they're going to fix that with all the blockchain, and we saw they're using Polygon. So they see that there's a big market out there. Gaming and horse racing out there, those two markets. And we're going to look at that market overview in a second. And they see that all the problems that are inherent with the enthusiasm behind actual horse racing, they want to fix whatever problems they see there. And the same with the video games. We see that video game thing being done in all the other crypto, the little altcoin space. We see that happening all the time already. So can they bring enthusiasts? And this is one of my concerns right off the bat that I kind of mentioned early on in the video. Let's look at the overview. And so they kind of talk about, cool, you know, there's 3 billion people playing video games. You know, there's a lot of people they purport that are going to be playing in the near future, saying almost about 3 billion here. You probably can't read that very well. Sorry about this. Is the problem of using a back screen. But I found this very interesting, is what this one is the pink is mobile games. This is PC games, this gray color, and then black is console games. This is why the mobile games is huge, guys, right? So the mobile games is going to be massive. And we already know that mobile games are huge because it's, and I didn't realize this coming from the US, is I'm living in La La Land, right? I have a computer easily at my disposal. I had a console, I got rid of it, I didn't really use it, but those were easy for me to get. But in a lot of the rest of the world, this is what most people are gaming on because they don't maybe have some of those luxuries like we do. This is it. And this is great, this works, this does the job, and these are getting better every day. So this space is gonna continue to grow. They do, I don't know where they're getting their stats. Oh, Global Games Report. So that would be interesting to actually confirm that. But I like that they cited where it came from. But that number, that alone, visually, obviously is like, cool. All right, so and then you wanna get to there. Could you imagine gambling the horse race on your thing if you liked it? Yeah. So video gaming is going up. They say horse racing market is the part that I don't know much about. They say multi-billion-dollar, you know, industry. They're purporting 300 billion. I don't know. Again, Equine Business Association 2019. I haven't vetted them. I don't know if you guys have. If anyone wants to let me know and go take a look. But my one kind of scary part about this is that when it comes to the video game market, so they say these two are coming together, is that the vast majority come from, oh, it says here, yeah, the highest level coming from Asia. Okay, so Asia is the highest level of the video games coming from. Europe is next. Then we've got Latin America and North America coming in last when it comes to video games, sort of like the total consumer amount being spent in that space, or amount playing, sorry. When we come over here, it's kind of the inverse, so to speak. I mean, not really, but Europe is the biggest with 133 billion. I'll read these out for you. USA is down here at 102 on this slice. China is 2 billion. It's this little sliver. So the really big mobile video game market, okay, is not the horse racing enthusiast market. So I don't know. My first inclination was like, that sounds like a problem, right? You're gonna wanna be, the people who wanna play these mobile video games and probably do a little bit of gambling don't care about horse racing as much. But then I thought, well, you could look at this the inverse and you could say, well, now you've cornered both markets. So now here's all the people who like horse racing. They'll probably go wherever the platform gives them, it allows them to gamble. And the people who like video games, they're like, oh, here's the horses. Cool, I'll play horses, I'll play farms, the cars, whatever. It doesn't matter what it is. So maybe they actually get to attack both those markets truly as the full share of 300 billion and several billion in the video game market. Maybe they truly get to hit both of those. So that's an interesting thing that I see out of it. I believe this summary is pretty much coming out of the same thing there, but I'll hold on it for you. Coming back to what you can actually get is that you can be a horse owner, you can be a bookmaker, being a hippodrome owner, where you actually run the races. You get to tell them like how many horses are in a race. So you get to have a whole big slew of like options when you actually get involved. Horses. As we talked about, this is the main thing I wanted to show you from this, is that this is the function that I think horse racing enthusiasts are gonna have to get over. This is where they might have a problem with it, because I imagine that a horse racing enthusiast likes a lot more than just the gamble. Now, there's gonna be the gamblers who could easily transition over to this, but the people who like the horse is a visceral physical object that has different things. He's, you know, depending on how he feels in the morning, he could do better, right? And they like to go look and see the horse and see it walking around parading before it actually goes races. This is the portion, because it's all generated, it's a hidden function, speed and stamina, and then it kind of goes through a whole breakdown on how those can be sort of measured, combined with all the other attributes that would make it. That, I think, could be a problem for them. I think that could be a big problem for real enthusiasts who want to just actually see that. You know, I mean, there's also, again, the hats, the outfits, going to the day, they're going to like that. But I think that the portion here, the speed and stamina, are going to be, they're not going to like the fact that it's kind of like, cool, it's there. And the thing that it's hidden is that they don't know how to figure that out, right? So that makes it part of fun to try and figure out what you're going to get in it. But those are the features that can be adjusted with like different things like the saddle and the shoes and the jockey on his back, and then the actual hippodrome, maybe he's racing it, I don't know. So that's an interesting thing to sort of consider when it comes from that standpoint. But from a video game standpoint, I think it makes a lot of sense. They actually talk about the breeding portion here. It's pretty straightforward. So they call it the GA, that's their algorithm, that's their breeding mechanism. That combined with the random generator, and there's a 5% deviation when it comes to the horses. So there will always, the offspring will always be different. And it doesn't, if the two horses have the same speed, the offspring can have a lesser or more greater speed because of this deviation. So that's something to be known. So winning the horse races, it's the same sort of thing. So this is where I saw where you can see like steel horse racing shoes for 2% added onto it. So the chance of winning goes up to here based on a speed of 85. This one's only got a speed of 3, and he's got these shoes that only do 5%, which is more, but he's still got a really low chance. So you don't know these metrics, and you have to kind of like guess off what you have, and then maybe based on what you've read or done in the lineage for the other people in the race. So still think it's interesting to kind of deal with it. I know they put this whole section out because they want to make people who are going to get involved feel good that it's not cheating. That's one of the things they mentioned as one of the big problems with the whole space. But let's come on to the hippodromes. This is what I wanted to also show you is interesting, is that they're made of 10,000 individual tokens. So the NFT itself, the entire space is made of 10,000, so you can have multiple individuals as owners. So you can pool together to be owners. And they actually say down here that owning more than 5,000 or 50% allows you to be the administrator of the hippodrome. So then you make the rules. So there still needs to be an address that has a majority share, I would imagine, or they may actually make it be that one address has to have 50%. I'm not sure if you could have like 25, 20, 10, 30, and then the guy with the highest percentage is the administrator. It says here specifically 50%, but I still thought it was interesting that you could be a pool of owners to get involved with this, right? And so it's an interesting, because then you get to decide, control the fee, the prize fund, all that sort of stuff that comes involved with it. Okay, so I skipped ahead. Again, this whole section here really just goes again to sort of solidify that they're trying to make it as random and fun for everyone to play as a unique system with the RNG, the genetic algorithm that we already explained that, you get it. Third-party streaming solution. This is the part where I think that's interesting. Again, casinos, other places being able to watch these games. If this horse race, now imagine AI, let's paint a picture for a second. All right, I'm gonna bring you in. Let's imagine something for a second. You go to sit down at a bar and you're watching a horse race. At this point in the future, let's say 15 years in the future, AI is so good that it can make a fully rendered horse look like it's running, no problem. So all of a sudden you're looking at this horse race and you're realizing to yourself, you don't know if this is a real horse race or not. Does it matter anymore? Once you start to see this sort of like complete generation and it comes out and looks real and you can bet on it and you have metrics you bet on just like you do now, do you care if this is that? And you can actually go into the metaverse, you can put on some 3D goggles and go look at the horse and stand at the field. You won't have the wind bustling through your hair or your lovely hat, but you will still be able to kind of like get involved in a bigger space. I think this is going to be a huge portion for people to make a bunch of money outside of it. And so the way I look at projects is that when you're involved with projects that more people than just the person playing the video game makes money, that's when a lot of money can potentially be made, because that gives everyone incentive to make it bigger. If there's advertisers, if there's video game players, there's play to earn, there's people renting, there's people lending, all of these come together in an ecosystem, that's when you start to get some real money. And let's take a look here. I'm talking about a bit more about the monetization in a second because I'm on a full tangent about it. Here's the quick roadmap. I'll leave you a link to this. You can go check a look and see where they are. I think they're on the page to it. So usually looking at roadmaps for me, it's really just to make sure hey, I like the future, but also that they're on pace with it. Again, ad service integration. That's going to be huge. The mobile, where is it? To say Android device, mobile, here we go. External platforms, other wallets bringing in, third-party betting solutions. This huge portion here in the next year, or the rest of this year, this is what I want to start to see. This is going to be the cool part. This is where money's going to be made. Like I said, bringing people making money together means everyone has a winning play there. Okay, here we go. Here's just a quick overview of the place, the ways you can earn some money through this. So you can actually do it through breeding. You can make money through that. So you can make money through breeding, trading the horses, participating in the races, obviously, hosting the races on the hippodrome. So if you own one, selling analysis and predictions. I thought this was an interesting way to make money, but that's what exists now. It exists in football, hockey, every sport out there, and horse racing specifically. They have those little sheets where it's like, oh, I know this horse is you could do the research for someone and be like, that's the horse, that's the pick. Interesting kind of side note, referral programs, reward programs, so referring hippodromes. One of the things they talked about with the hippodromes is that if you're gonna be an administrator of one, you're gonna actually have to entice people to come, or it's gonna be your job to make it. So you can place advertisers there, you can have special prize pools, championships, and it's gonna be a huge portion of the economy, or the people inside of the economy, the ecosystem, to drive their marketing of their own hippodrome, not just advertisers from third space, not Coca-Cola and Burger King. Your hippodrome is going to have to advertise in the real world potentially to bring people, or advertise to wherever their potential bettors or DeRace players are to get them involved. So there could be referral programs with influencers, YouTubers. Yo, I'll take one right now. Shout out. Reward programs, that you can get involved with. It looks like they're going to incorporate bug reporting and watching advertisements. And like I said, the watching advertisements is probably some sort of model similar to Gala Music that I mentioned, where it's it's going to be incentive for marketing. It's going to be some sort of marketing ploy, where it's we'll pay you to listen, and then that's how you earn. But then you're now introduced to this new concept, a new horse racer or a new brand or whatever. So that could be very interesting in there. Let's take a look. What else do we have in here? Really quick too, before we move on, this is the monetization of the actual space. They talk about how they're gonna make money. So they plan on making money. They're gonna be making money for NFT sales, horse breeding. They're gonna be taking percentages, $1 it looks like, which is a strange instead of a percentage. Participating in the race, they're gonna actually take a fee from the hippodrome. So they don't take the hippodrome doesn't take all the money. And then deposit, you probably need to host some sort of money for each race. So you probably need to put your money aside, and then the transaction shoots on oath. So let's look at the growth model real quick. Is that this is where they kind of talked about needing to make their marketing hit. They want to grow their user base, affiliate programs, influencer marketing, community angels, reward systems. They want to do it. They say it here. They make a note of it. Watching them do it is a whole other thing. So let's go to see it. Scaling. This is where they kind of talked about expanding the gameplay into getting out there to other places. And so you can see different types of hippodromes that they're talking about, branded content for partners and influencers and streamers that can integrate into it. So they really start to understand, this is the mobile app. This is huge. This is really what I want to see. So getting that, gambling and betting, transferring it to third-party betting solutions right here, making sure that they can go ahead and get that out there and to the real world. Get the real world involved and get those enthusiasts kind of enticed. They're probably not going to want to play the video games, but that's a space to do it. So I'm going to do a quick search over on Twitter. This video has gone on long enough. I have really done a kind of a deep into this. So let's take a look at Twitter real quick, and then I'll give you my final thought. So actually scrolling down here, we can see that there's just a number of general posts from the team. It looks like they're actually pushing quite a bit. Interesting, top 5 trending. I just scrolled across this, which is very interesting, along with we've already covered network. So DeRace here, we got a few other tokens. I haven't looked into them, but those NFTs are doing well. And then again, we're showing kind of the horses because I think there's gonna be interest in this NFT market. Here we go, pushing a little bit of the NFT marketplace. Top NFT gainers, last 24 hours. This was done February 15th, not too long ago. We're in here somewhere, but oh, wow, it's number one. It's number one. So it's actually doing pretty well. I don't know what platform it's on. CoinGecko, NFT Daily, on which platform? That's kind of where they get you, is that you're like, what platform are you actually talking about? And you know, what NFT platform? So look, that's a different hippodrome. So they got a presence. They're out there pushing it. That's probably where all those community managers came from. Really, if you want to do a little bit of social research on this, I feel like you'd go to see whether you had negative comments versus positive comments. All right, I'm going to wrap up my price prediction here on this guy and actually see where he's going to go. This value here being at $8, which it reached at its all-time high, put the diluted market cap, I said at the beginning, at 1 billion. Okay, is it worth 1 billion? Horse races, video games, and gambling. More than that, hands down. Could this go to 10 billion? Easily. Easily. Like a $10 billion market cap is what currently Zagna Games is, and I had mentioned them earlier. They're an iOS developer. They just make video games in the iOS space. They're not also bringing a part of the ecosystem from horse racing, and they're not bringing in gambling. They generally don't have those two things, although Zagna might have gambling. I take that back. Zagna does have gambling. So they do have gambling in there. They don't necessarily get in that space. Could they get to 10 billion in the crypto world? I feel like this could. That would be a 44x. We can do the math really quickly. We do 10 billion. That's 10 billion. We divide it by 120 million, which is the full amount. That's an $83 price point there. That's what this could, I think this could potentially be in 5 to 10 years. Who knows? Maybe even less. I got to see what this ends up coming out. I really like the project. Let's divide that by $1.86 where it is right now. So that's a 44x. So let's say probably in the realm of 40 to 50x, this thing could move in the not so crazy future, honestly. Like when I'm talking 5 years, I don't think that's a long time. I mean, the future is as long as you want to look at it and as short as you want to keep your mind. Like 5 years isn't a big deal, and to make this go in 83x. In the next bull run, is this going to probably get up there? It's definitely going to hit the $8, and it's definitely going to go to a several billion-dollar market cap. 1 billion is not enough. That's not enough for a space like this, especially if they're doing everything they want to, getting all the places. So, all right, guys, that was an absolutely massive video. That was huge. I went in depth because I thought it was interesting. I just started the research this morning, and I just kept getting sucked in, went deeper and deeper and deeper. You can finally see why I think that it has an intriguing potential there. Now, I don't know shit about horse racing. I don't really care to know much about horse racing. And again, I don't have a silly big hat. So is this something you can get invested in? Yeah, why not? It's actually a good project. They look like they've got a lot going on for them. The team isn't someone I know about, but everything else seems to be making sense. I like what they're trying to do. I feel like if they do it properly, there's a gap here that they could be meeting. People always love more gambling. There's no horse racing section in there. If they can bring those enthusiasts, this will make sense. They just have to make it enticing for the people who like horse racing for what it is and make it a compelling enough reason to not actually go to the hippodrome in the real world. I think they've got the gamblers in the bag, and I think they'll have mobile game users once they get to that place, because a game like that would be fine on mobile. Would you want to spend time on your computer playing it? I don't know. Graphics might be needed for that. So, again, guys, if you found any value in this, I'm super tired, and thank you so much. I look forward to making these videos, but leave the like, hit subscribe, do all that jazz if you found any value in this. If you didn't, constructive criticism is also welcome. Throw some comments down there. Let me know why I suck so much and you hate me and don't want to help. But otherwise, I'm real tired and I'm going to move on. I don't know why I keep doing these so late. Thanks for sticking around, guys. Let me know what you think about the project, and I'll see you in the next one.